Before your eyes are even opened, your hand is already reaching for your phone. You do not decide to do it, you just do it. Your thumb finds the screen before your brain has finished waking up. It feels like a habit. It feels like a small, harmless tick of modern life. Maybe you have told yourself you will fix it tomorrow, but the real answer is way stranger than that. What is actually happening in that half second is not new. It's not even about phones. It's a survival response that is at least 2 million years old, and your phone has simply learned how to trigger it on command. Nobody designed this feeling for you. Your ancestors built it, one dangerous afternoon at a time, long before anything like a screen existed. To understand what is happening in your hand, you have to go back to your ancestors, not to their tools, not to their fire, to their eyes. For most of human history, your ancestors survived by scanning the tree line for movement, scanning the grass for a shifting color, scanning the riverbank for a shape that did not belong. A rustle could mean nothing, or it could mean a predator, or it could mean food. The only way to know was to check. There was no safe option that involved ignoring it. Here's the part that changes everything. The reward for checking was not the answer itself, it was the not knowing. In the 1990s, a neuroscientist named Wolfram Schultz ran an experiment that quietly rewired how scientists understood the brain. He trained monkeys to expect a reward, then measured their dopamine activity with extreme precision, tracking individual neurons in real time. What he found surprised almost everyone in the field. Dopamine did not spike when the reward arrived. It spiked before the reward arrived, in the moment of uncertainty. And when the reward became fully predictable, something strange happened. The dopamine response almost disappeared entirely. Read that again. Certainty kills the reward. Uncertainty is the reward. Your brain was never built to crave good news. It was built to crave the moment right before you find out. Now think about your ancestors again, standing at the edge of a clearing, heart rate rising, eyes locked on a patch of moving grass. That was not simply fear. That was one of the most rewarding chemical states a human brain can produce. Uncertainty followed by information. Check, learn, check again. Over and over for millions of years. That loop is what kept your ancestors alive long enough to have children who inherited the exact same loop. Why does this matter for a piece of glass sitting in your pocket right now? Because somewhere in a design studio, someone learned the same lesson Schultz learned in a lab decades earlier, from a very different kind of research. Long before smartphones existed, a psychologist named B.F. Skinner ran an experiment with pigeons that is still taught in almost every introductory psychology course. He put a pigeon in a box with a lever. Press the lever, get food. Simple, predictable, easy to understand. But then he changed one single variable. Instead of food every time, the pigeons received food at random intervals. Sometimes the very first press worked, sometimes it took 20 presses before anything happened. The pigeons could not predict which press would pay off. The pigeons on a fixed, predictable reward pressed it occasionally, mostly when they were hungry. The pigeons on the random reward pressed it obsessively. Some of them pressed a lever thousands of times a day, long after they were already full, long after any nutritional need had been met. This is called a variable ratio reward schedule, and it produces the single strongest compulsive behavior pattern known in behavioral psychology. Stronger than a guaranteed reward, stronger than no reward at all. The uncertainty itself became the addiction, not the food behind it. Your phone runs on that exact schedule, refined by teams of designers who study behavior for a living. Every time you unlock it, you do not know what you're going to get. Maybe a message that matters, maybe nothing at all, maybe a like, a comment, a headline that changes your whole afternoon. You can't predict it. And because you can't predict it, your brain treats every single check like it might be the one that matters. It only has to be right occasionally to keep the whole loop running. That pull to refresh gesture you do without thinking, someone designed that on purpose. It mimics the exact motion of a slot machine lever. Pull down, wait half a second, see what falls out. That half second of loading isn't the technical delay you have to tolerate. It's arguably the most important part of the entire design. It's the moment where your ancient brain lights up, the same way it lit up at the edge of that clearing, scanning the grass for movement that hadn't happened yet. Notice the small red circle on your app icons. It carries no information about what's inside. It doesn't tell you if the message is important or trivial from a stranger or someone you love. It simply tells you that uncertainty exists, and your brain can't leave uncertainty alone. That's not an accident of design. That's the entire design. Look at how a feed scrolls. There is no bottom. There is no final post that tells you to stop. Your ancestors' clearing eventually ended. There was a tree line, a riverbank, an edge to the territory they were scanning. A modern feed has none of that. It was built without an edge on purpose, because an edge is a stopping point, and a stopping point is the enemy of a system designed around uncertainty. Every new post is another patch of grass that might be moving, so you scroll past the one that was not, hoping the next one will be. Even the streaks and daily counters you see on certain apps borrow from the same logic, just aimed in a different direction. They do not offer uncertainty about a reward. They offer certainty about a loss if you fail to check in. Your ancestors were just as sensitive to the threat of losing ground as they were to the promise of finding food. So a system that threatens to break a streak taps an old fear of losing something you worked to build, even when the thing you built is just a number on a screen. Former engineers and designers who once built these systems have since spoken publicly about how deliberately this was engineered, describing rooms full of behavioral research used to decide exactly where a notification badge should sit, exactly how long a loading spinner should last, exactly which shade of red pulls the eye fastest. None of it was guesswork. All of it was built on the same principles Skinner found in his pigeons and Schultz found in his monkeys, just aimed at a species that had never faced anything quite like it before. You are not weak for checking your phone 40 times a day. You are running software that is 2 million years old, and it was never built to resist a machine engineered specifically to exploit it. But here's the part almost nobody talks about, and it's stranger than the checking itself. In 2017, a researcher named Adrian Ward ran a study that should unsettle you a little. He gave people a set of cognitive tasks designed to measure focus and working memory, the kind used to test how much mental effort a person has available at any given moment. Some people had their phone on the desk in front of them, screen down. Some had it in their bag. Some had it in another room entirely, out of sight. The phone was off in every condition, silent, face down. Not a single notification arrived during the entire test. And yet, performance dropped the closer the phone was to the person. Not because people were checking it. They were not touching it at all. Their brains were simply spending energy resisting the pull of it, holding a small, constant guard up against the device that was doing nothing. A quiet background tax paid without permission just for the phone existing nearby. Ward called this effect brain drain. The mere presence of your phone was enough to quietly steal a portion of your available attention, even while the phone itself did absolutely nothing. Think about what that means. Your ancestors did not need the predator to be visible in order to stay alert. They needed only to know a predator might be there. That single word was enough to keep part of the mind on guard at all times, burning energy just to remain ready. Your phone, sitting silently on the table beside you, is your version of the rustle in the grass. Present, unpredictable, impossible to fully ignore even when it's switched off and face down. So what do you do with all of this? You're not going to delete the phone from your life, nobody's asking you to, and it wouldn't even solve the deeper problem. But you can change your relationship with the not knowing that drives the whole cycle. Try this the next time you feel the pull toward your phone for no clear reason. Don't check it yet. Instead, pause for just a moment and notice the itch itself. Notice the small, restless pull in your chest, the same pull your ancestors felt at the edge of a clearing, staring at grass that hadn't moved in a while. That feeling is not really about your phone. That feeling is your inheritance. It's the oldest working part of your mind still doing its job faithfully, still scanning for the thing that might matter, whether or not anything is actually there. Once you can name that feeling for what it is, it tends to lose some of its grip almost immediately. The urge softens just slightly the moment you recognize it's not really about the phone at all, and never was. Try putting the phone in another room while you work. Not because the phone is dangerous, but because your ancestors' brains never had to resist a predator that was silent, still, and sitting less than an arm's length away
all day, every day. The world has changed almost beyond recognition in the last 100 years. Your brain hasn't changed nearly as much in that time. It's still standing at the edge of the clearing. It's still listening for the rustle in the grass, still keeping one quiet corner of itself on guard no matter what you tell it. It just doesn't realize the grass is now a glowing rectangle in your pocket, and the predator it has been scanning for all along was never really there at all. Your hand is not reaching for your phone. It never was. It's still reaching for the rustle in the grass. And it always will, until the day your brain finally learns that the clearing has been empty this whole time.